During his rule, Chavez also forged closer political and economic ties with Venezuela's neighbors. In the name of economic solidarity, he offered discounted oil to 18 countries across the Caribbean and Central America. Cuba was one of those biggest beneficiaries. Michael Voss reports from Havana.
Pedro Pablo Valle is a Cuban doctor who spent 3 years treating the rural poor in Venezuela. It was a government-to-government contract. He received a stipend to cover living expenses and a lump sum payment on his return, enough to renovate his house and buy new furniture. Cuba, for its part, was paid in Venezuelan oil.
If we have the possibility to earn some form of hard currency for the services we provide, I think it's great. It's good also because we are doing it on the basis of assistance to others, not on any form of exploitation.
Venezuela ships about 100,000 barrels of oil a day to Cuba, providing roughly half of the island's energy needs. Cuba isn't the only country receiving subsidized oil. A large number of Caribbean and Central American economies are also heavily dependent on Venezuelan assistance. Petrocaribe was created in 2005 by Hugo Chavez and provides 18 poor countries with Venezuelan oil on preferential terms. They're also granted low-interest, long-term loans for domestic development programs such as health, education and housing. Cuba partly pays with doctors, Nicaragua with sugar, coffee and blue jeans. The oil provides 95% of Jamaica's electricity, while Haiti gets most of its supplies for free. Many now fear the impact on the region's economic and social stability should Petrocaribe fold. Michael Voss, CCTV, Havana.
For more on this topic, Vanessa Neumann, Senior Fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute and President of Vanessa Neumann Incorporated, joins us live from New York City. Thank you very much on the show. This is a topic that continues to developing over the past couple of weeks. Let me ask you, what's the mood from businesses and policymakers now post-Chavez?
In Venezuela, well, there's still quite a few businesses making a lot of money. I mean, the government is basically going broke in that it has a declining production capacity. When Chavez took power, the price of oil was about 1/9 of what it is today, and we produced 3.3 million barrels a day, and now it's down to 2.2, a lot of which is actually promised to China in terms of energy-backed loans. And the preoccupation is that with the declining infrastructure, there might not be enough excess production capacity for the country to claw itself out of an economic problem. There's a crunch on the foreign currency market. Today, Jorge Jordani, who's the Minister of Planning and Finance, announced a new system of controls of foreign currency that you have to apply to be a member of the auction, and they will auction out the dollars starting at the base rate of 6.3 bolívares fuertes to the dollar, which is the new price after a devaluation for 4.3. And that now then, that once you get the dollars, they will pay directly the foreign creditors. This is, of
Vanessa,
course, another blow to the private industry.
One of the things that we've been talking about over the last couple of weeks is the changes that might be occurring. And listening to you, I don't sense there's a lot of changes. I sense there's a lot more of the same as it was a few weeks ago. Are you saying that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The minute Hugo Chavez passed away, I did a whole round of interviews and media all over the world, and they all said, oh, well, now we can expect great change in Venezuela and a great pivot to the U.S. and a great liberalization and, and greater inclusion of the private sector. And I said, no, not at all. Don't pop open the champagne. That's not what's going to happen in the immediate future. There's no reason for that to happen. Maduro is widely expected to win the elections on the 14th of April for any number of reasons. They have not least because they control the ground game. They have the money and the infrastructure. The opposition is basically broke after the October elections, and he's the anointed successor of Hugo Chavez. So you still have that slight halo effect.
Vanessa,
so why should they change their strategy?
If you're right on this, and there's not going to be major changes, what does that mean for its neighbors in the rest of the region that are expecting perhaps some reform?
Well, I think they're in trouble, to be honest. I think a lot of the people who were being funded by Chavez are in serious trouble. If anything, they will have to roll back their largesse, as you were mentioning, to the 18 countries that got subsidized oil. They're just going to have to. They can't afford it. They're going to have to just prioritize. They'll still continue with their relationship with certain things like the FARC and the Cubans and the Iranians and all of that. But yeah, I think that those economies that were very heavily subsidized by Venezuela will shrink, and that will bring instability. But I think that, you know, things will not change quickly in Venezuela. And Maduro also came today with some other wild accusation about a CIA plot not to kill him, but to kill the opposition.
I don't want to get into the CIA plot because I'm just getting myself in trouble.
That's a whole other conversation.
But I do want to ask you, we are a business show. We cover the economies from around the world. And there's this expectation of stability. That's what investors want.
Right.
Are you saying that over the next 12 to 24 months, things will be stable there, or things will be unstable?
I think that they will be stable but tough. For investors, there will be money to be made. However, there's rising inflation. There was already rose 9% in January and February. Food prices went up 4.2% in the last 2 months. We can expect that to go up even more, especially with the recent currency devaluation, and such a massive amount of the food is imported. So that will bring social unrest. And then also the rising gasoline prices. They're basically going to have to raise the gasoline prices the way they did in the late 80s with the Washington Consensus. So that will make it tougher. However, for investors, the relationship with the government and the government programs will probably basically continue the same way.
All right, Vanessa Neumann, that's all the time we have. Thank you for your candid comments.
Thank you very much.